This is history, the future mystery. This moment is the gift. Every second
Welcome, Miracle Makers. I am so excited to be coming to you live again. It's Dr. Sarah Larsen in UBN Studios here in Sunset Gower. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing outside. It's miraculous for California for sure. It's been raining.
Rain pouring down, yay.
Yay. I am with my amazing co-host, my husband, and we're inviting you out on this date on air with us. Welcome, baby.
I am so blessed to spend every day of my life with a true miracle maker. It is wonderful when you can have miracles reflected back to you and demonstrated in your life. Then it's a lot easier to believe that miracles exist. And I live with a beautiful miracle maker. So day after day, my mouth is wide open going, why? Because my brain is still, very Scandinavian and logical, and I'm trying to figure things out. And miracles don't always work logically. So I sit back in awe of my beautiful wife as she gracefully walks around this world creating miracles. It's such a blessed experience. So thank you, my love.
You're so welcome. And Miracle Makers, Greg Larsen and I are so excited that you're part of our community. And we want for you to have miracles everywhere that you go as well. And right now, we know miracles are possible. We see the evidence of them everywhere. One day, I'm sure we'll find the science behind it as well.
Maybe, yeah.
And we bring on miracle makers with incredible stories. And one of the miracles was brought on to us through an invite through one of our dear friends, and she works with us here at Miracle Makers, Diane Kelly. Diane Kelly really wanted me to come to this event. We just gotten back from Egypt. We had probably 300 things on our to-do list. And she was like, oh, Unstoppable Foundation, Cynthia Kersey. This is amazing, something you've got to experience. And so I donned a fabulous dress and an amazing rushed out to this red carpet gala and was immediately so inspired by Henry Winkler, Bob Proctor, the award ceremony. And we have a little video for you before we bring on our guest. Today's guest is an amazing author, best-selling author. She's formed a foundation called the Unstoppable Foundation. But before I bring her on, I want you to watch a video to really get the impact of what it's like to give, what it means to have an experience, what the power of one. And this was a story sent to me by Cynthia Kersey in a follow-up. The Unstoppable Achievement Award honoree, Chris Maburi. This is his story that you're going to watch on video. He was born into poverty with little possibility of a bright future. And Chris's life took a dramatic turn when one woman, Hilda Back, was that woman that made a difference in his life. And so we're going to watch this story with you. I'm just going to keep talking until the sound comes on. One woman and one child, one wish.
Meet Hilda Beck. She survived the Holocaust, though her family didn't, thanks to the kindness of one stranger. Yearning to help others, she found for a small monthly contribution, she could sponsor one Kenyan boy to go to school. Chris Maburu was that one boy. For years, Hilda never missed mailing his monthly school fees. She thought her contribution was just one drop in the ocean, but that one drop in the ocean enabled Chris to graduate. First primary school, then secondary school. Eventually, he went to college, graduating from Harvard Law School. Today, the boy who Hilda Beck sponsored is a human rights advocate, serving as a voice for children around the world who have no voice. But the story doesn't stop there. Inspired by Hilda's generosity, Chris started a scholarship program and named it after his sponsor. The Hilda Beck Education Fund supports other children who long for a better life that only an education can bring. Chris wanted to thank Hilda personally for her generosity. When he found her, he discovered a retired schoolteacher living on a humble pension in a tiny apartment. Not the rich woman he had always imagined.
I couldn't really believe that they was starting something in my name.
Hilda's generous gift not only changed the trajectory of Chris's life, but it has been multiplied hundreds of times through Chris's work, and is helping more children than she could have ever imagined. Through Chris's fund, over 500 students get an education and graduate from high school.
If you do just one small act and another person does one small act, then it adds up and it could end up helping a whole community.
Word one. Congratulations and thank you is what the screen reads for those that aren't able to see. Chris is now back in Kenya and has started his own scholarship fund. And he received the Unstoppable Award this year. And Unstoppable, this foundation was stopped by an unstoppable woman, a speaker, an entrepreneur, and the founder of her nonprofit foundation who focuses on ensuring that every child on the planet has access to a lifelong gift of education. And so I'm so excited to bring on Cynthia Kersey. Cynthia, you are just so amazing, and you embody your message, and you embody this amazing generosity that was seen in this video. Your foundation, the Unstoppable Foundation, has helped fund over 75 schools in 3 countries. It brings education to over 8,000 children a day, as well as bringing clean water, sanitation, healthcare, and training to over 40,000 community members. And so I'm just so grateful that you're on air with us and that you're going to share with us how your life transformed. And so, Cynthia, can you just, I'm so grateful that you're here with us on Miracle Makers. Miracle Makers, Cynthia wasn't always like she is now. She's gone through difficulties. She's overcome a lot of things in order to be able to contribute at the massive level that she does. Cynthia, will you share with us one of those stories? And welcome.
And thank you for having me as a part of your show. It's very exciting for me to learn more about both of you and your stories. You inspire me greatly. Well, you know, for me, it started, I was working in corporate America. I started as an entry-level telemarketer for Sprint and worked my way up to a national account manager. I sold a $30 million account. But, you know, on the outside, everything looked great. But on the inside, I was not inspired about my life. And I started looking at what had provided inspiration for me. And I'd always loved unstoppable stories, people who experienced challenges, who experienced setbacks, and yet they didn't let it stop them. And so back in 1996, even though I'd never written anything more than a college term paper in my entire life, I decided to quit my job, 6-figure job, downsize my life, and cash in my entire life savings and my husband's life savings to write my first book called Unstoppable. And when you're an unpublished author, nobody takes you seriously, right? So I'm rejected by agents, I'm rejected by publishers, I'm rejected by people that I want to interview for the book. And here I am writing a book called Unstoppable. It's like, be careful what you wish for, because then you get to live it every day. So over a period of 18 months, I wrote the book, and within 2.5 years, the book was actually published. So I'm living my purpose. And 18 months after that, my husband, I'd been married for 20 years, and we separated and got a divorce. And when we first separated, of course, it was very devastating for me. And I went and I called my mentor, Millard Fuller, who's the founder of Habitat for Humanity, and I told him what had happened. And he said, when you have a great pain in your life, you need a greater purpose. And he had just gotten back from Nepal, and he said, why don't you build a house for a family in need? And as I thought about what he said, I thought, how many houses would I need to build to offset this pain in my life? Now, understand, I'd never built one house before. I really didn't even know where Nepal was. But I knew I needed to find a purpose that was bigger than my pain. So as I started thinking about the number, when I got to the number 100 houses, that felt bigger than my pain. So, I had no idea how I would do that. I didn't know, how am I going to raise the money to do this? The whole thing, I had no clue. But I had a purpose that was bigger than my pain. And I called Bob Proctor. I had met him early in the game. And I talked to him. I'm sure you know him, and many people listening to this. He's just been in personal development, transformational field for over probably 60 years now. And I told him I needed to raise $200,000 to build these 100 homes. It was $2,000 a house. And he said, oh, Cynthia, that's simple. All you have to do is find 10 people to contribute $20,000. Piece of cake. And I thought, I don't know anybody that has $20,000. And I looked at him, and with as much courage as I could possibly muster, I said, would you donate the first $20,000? And he said he took a big gulp, and because he had never donated that level of money before. And he thought, well, what am I going to say? No, I just told this woman to do this. So he was the first contributor. And that year, when I'm out there speaking and living on a $14.95 book, and many times, crying my eyes out. So the next morning, my eyes were almost swollen shut. Now here I am speaking to a group of, a crowd of people about being unstoppable. And many times I didn't feel like getting out of bed. And I would think about those families in Nepal that didn't have a simple, decent place to live. And that purpose kept me going. And it actually turned into the most miraculous year of my life. Not only did I raise the $200,000, but, when we give, and initially I think we think we're doing something great for other people, right? And what I hadn't anticipated was what this experience was going to do for me and the miracles that it would create within my own self. And, not only did it completely shift me at a DNA level where every single project, every single thing I did in my business, I integrated giving, but I also made more money that year than I'd ever made, even earning a 6-figure income working at Sprint Communications. So that was my first experience with the law of giving and receiving, right? When you look at living a miraculous life, I think giving is at the heart of that. And that was the beginning of a wonderful journey that I'm still on as I step more into giving of my heart, my life, in every way that I approach my life every day.
What an incredible story, and what bravery it took to ask Bob Proctor for the first, oh my gosh, Miracle Makers, to get this point. Find the purpose bigger than the pain. How do you transform your life? And when my grandmother passed away, the pain was so great, and we'd suffered a setback in our lives. And I found myself, I decided to do 1,000 readings in her honor, just healings, readings, things that she had taught me. 1,000 was the number that I thought would help me get through the
Yeah, there
pain.
you go.
And so
That's a
I
lot of
can
readings.
really identify
A lot of readings.
with that. It's find the purpose bigger than the pain.
Miracle makers, that is such a powerful point. I've never heard it shared that way before, but that is it. We talk to so many people and experience so many people who are stuck by the pain.
Yes.
And they're always, how do we get over this? How do we get beyond this? You have to give and find that way of giving that's bigger than you.
That's right.
That will be your miracle and your cure and your way forward. So thank you for sharing that. That was a very powerful gift that you just gave us and all miracle makers.
And that's so beautiful. And I love what you're sharing about giving as well. Every miracle that's been created came from, it's for me, I see myself as a hollow reed, and I just stay open for possibilities.
That's right.
And everywhere I'm going, I'm looking to generate an opportunity to give or a possibility for others around me. And so I love that you went back and you also did a lot of research on the power of giving. And so, Cynthia, could you talk to us about that?
Yeah. So, well, first off, it's not a surprise to me that you talk about miracle makers and you're already living this. So you have the consciousness of what we're really talking about. And we all spiritual teachers have talked about the power of giving for centuries and millenniums actually. But there's been a lot of research. Dr. Stephen Post wrote a book called Why Good Things Happen to Good People. And he authored 50 studies throughout 44 universities studying the power of generosity. And what he found was overwhelmingly giving is the most potent force on the planet. So it impacts every single area of our life. And if we had, a whole day to talk about this, we could go into much greater detail, but I'm just going to highlight a couple of the things. First off, we know it makes you feel better. Right. So they actually call it helper's high. And there's a reason for that. When you give, it's just think about how fabulous. It feels much better to give than it does to receive.
And it's so beautiful. Our serotonin levels, even witnessing someone give the serotonin, the transmitters, the neurotransmitters in your body get excited.
Yes, exactly.
When you give, when you witness a giving, when you think about giving.
That's right.
It's such a beautiful thing.
And confidence. And there's just so many studies, health and wellness. I love this story. They're actually giving prescriptions now. When you go to the store, go to the doctor for many illnesses. Can you imagine the doctor getting out a prescription pad and suggesting, you go to a soup kitchen or you go to do something that inspires you? And I want to share a quick story about Cammie Walker. I don't know if you know this story, but Cammie Walker was at a time in her life where she's at the top of her career. She just gets married to the love of her life. And literally 30 days after her wedding, she woke up one day and she couldn't move her hands. And she goes to the doctor, and over 1 month, they did all these tests, and she was diagnosed as having multiple sclerosis. And over the next 2 years, it was a very rapid onset of this illness. And she is feeling depressed. She's in pain. She's in and out of the hospital. And she basically has no really hope for really living a life that's meaningful and contributory. And she felt very devastated. And a woman went in, her name is Mabali, and she's a spiritual teacher. And she loved Cammie, and she said, Cammie, I love you. I totally understand that this is challenging for you, but you've got to stop thinking about yourself so much. And can you imagine the outrage? Understand? Cammy's like, are you serious? Do you see my situation? Do you see I'm in a hospital bed? I don't have time to think about anything else. And Cammy's and Mabali said that's part of the problem. All of your attention is focused on your illness, and it doesn't allow you to bring anything else into your life. And she said, I have a prescription for you. I want you to give away 29 gifts in 29 days. And again, Cammy's like, what could I possibly give? And Mabali said, it doesn't matter what you give. You could give a kind word, a thought, a deed, a prayer, anything. But the key is that you give with no attachment, and you give from a place of abundance. And Cammy thought, well, it probably isn't going to hurt me if I do this. So she thought, okay, I'll do it. So day number 1, she called a friend who also had multiple sclerosis, and her friend's husband was traveling. So she thought, I'll call her and lift her spirits. And after she got off the phone, she noticed that she was feeling better. Every day, one little thing. Within a week, she's noticing she's feeling more optimistic about her life. In 2 weeks, she started walking without a cane.
Wow.
And by day 29, she did this big, it was this 1 mile hike. She couldn't walk 400 yards before this. She did a hike with her husband, and it just changed everything. And she said, did she still have multiple sclerosis? Yes. But it gave her hope for a future. She realized that she could contribute. And the only way she got that was by giving. Just exactly what you said, Sarah, looking for how can I contribute every single day. And if you do that, no matter what your circumstances, it will transform. It will create the miracles that you're looking for.
It's such a beautiful, thank you, beautiful sharing. And quite often as a doctor, as someone who's traveled the world with organizations that's done that, and the healthiest, the ones that live to 125, the ones that are happiest and surrounded are the ones that were giving and they weren't afraid to go to the hospital room and look at their friend, whereas most people would feel the concern. This woman that you spoke about said, you've got to go give. You've got to go figure out a way to not make this about you and find a purpose bigger than your pain. And that's one of the things that I love doing with our clients as well. One of the things that after Greg's mom passed away, he wound up finding a way in order to serve even the community that was out there when his father or uncle rather had cancer, to do beautiful concerts with our then 4-year-old daughter to raise funds. And it gave your mom, it gave your uncle, it gave all of them such vitality to have those experiences. And I think that's the part of being unstoppable. And part of the thing that I love about the organization, normally someone might enter a friend's hospital room and have looked up or Googled, what do you say to a sick person? Well, how to bring comfort. And truly getting still and connecting and hearing this woman heard. Oh my gosh, she's got to get a purpose bigger than the pain. Give for 29 days to someone outside yourself. And through the giving, through the stretching of yourself, through that, the miracle, the spaces become miraculous.
And another point you brought up, Cynthia, which is so critical, is to give without expectation. Because a lot of times we get caught in a trap of, what am I getting back when I give to this person or this situation? You have to recognize if it doesn't come back to you then, it is going to come back to you.
Right.
And sometimes in miraculous ways you could have never ever seen. So you just have to give with extreme faith, with an unstoppable courage, and with the miracle maker mindset, and just let the flow come back to you however it does.
Yeah. Bob Proctor says when he gives, he said he doesn't care if somebody takes it and buries it in the backyard. He has no expectation about what people do with it or what he gets from it. Because when you give with an expectation that somebody's going to do something or react, that's actually trading. It's not giving.
Yes.
And that is a really important distinction. Sometimes people will help their family, but they expect they need to do something with that, or there needs to be a certain outcome. That is trading versus giving from complete generosity and inspiration and really letting it flow as it flows.
And I think of giving and I think of loving and being in the flow as mindsets. When we first come in, we come in with this mindset of seeing our parents as giving us everything. So we're like, give me, give me, give me. And that's a childlike. And then we hit adolescence. And then we have a level of giving, a level of loving there, which is, oh, I'm entitled to this, tit for tat. I'll give for this, I'll give for that. And then there is the unstoppable way.
Yes.
Or the way that is the adult form, the sourced form, which is I just continue to give out. I continue to give out. And whatever I have to give, whatever is in abundance, it's not from me in the end anyway. That supply came from somewhere else.
That's right.
And that is the unstoppable way to give, or the adult or the miracle maker's way to give is this level of, let me give, expect nothing back. And my own personal mission every day is to give to someone who cannot give back to me. It's a funny way to say that. And some of my favorite people in the world, Martin Sean, he has this beautiful tandoori restaurant in Brentwood. And he became one of my favorite friends because on the back of his business card, he has this quote that I've said all the time: find a way to give to something that can't give back to you. And it doesn't have to be 100% giving, that 1%. A long time ago, this was at an IONS Institute of Noetic Sciences Agape Agents workshop weekend 2003 in the desert. An environmentalist got up on stage and he said, you just have to do a little bit. And I thought to myself, I'm going to do 1% every day for the environment. And so that 1% some days was moving shopping carts back to the shopping cart location in grocery stores, or it was picking up trash right around the car. It wasn't that much more for me to do. It was connecting people. That 1% might have been connecting people. And
That's
so
beautiful.
miracle makers, it's so important to step into that level of unstoppable miracle making adult giving format, which is you just keep giving from a space. And I also have one other thing that I love to add is always give from the overflow as well. Make sure you fill up your own emotional well. Give to yourself things that bring you joy. We have a bliss list, I call it, that we keep in our pockets. Flowers, sunshine, rainy days, singing in the rain. Those are on my bliss list. If I start to feel blue or start to expect something from someone else, I pull out my bliss list and I look for, and of course on my bliss list is giving to children. I love randomly giving toys to children.
Well, yeah, what's not to love about that?
Yeah, it's randomly, but create a bliss list. If you're feeling blue, take a look at your bliss list. If you're not in a space of giving, find ways to give to yourself that allow you to fill yourself up. And so you're not expecting it
Yeah.
from the outside world.
So, it's interesting that you say that, because I did a year of giving many years ago before I did my foundation full time. And the process was every single day I gave to myself for something spiritual, like the three areas: physical, emotional,
And mental.
and physical, right? It was really four.
Yeah.
So I looked for, how do I give to myself first so that I have something to give? And then the other piece was, how do I give to somebody else? So every day when I was out there, I was looking for, maybe I would let somebody pull out of the shopping, the parking lot first, or it just shifts your energy. Instead of trying to get, just to take a step back and let somebody else get in front of you, or pay for somebody else's Starbucks. Or, when you come from that place, it really is, I think, the ideal way of creating a miracle in your life and in other people's lives. I would encourage people to take 30 days and every day do one thing to support yourself and somebody else, and see what happens in that 30 days as a result of that commitment.
And Miracle Makers, we are taking that on for the Unstoppable Foundation. Woohoo! So the next 30 days, and we want to hear from you. We want to hear how you're contributing, because we love you and we want to support you. Let us in on that you're doing this, and we want to look for great examples to highlight on this show and in our community.
I did this very recently, just a small one, but I just, I want to eat healthier. We're talking about giving to yourself first so you can give back. And we have these beautiful organic almonds and walnuts in the cupboard. And because they're in the cupboard and in the back, I never eat them. So just in the last few days, I put them in glass jars on the counter right in front of the cutting board. So they're like, I'm always reminded, just 5 almonds, a handful of walnuts daily, and from that I'm able to give back to our kids, to you, to our community, to strangers, whoever that may be. So just little ways you can give to yourself, little ways you can give to others, and then look for opportunities, big opportunities to give to yourself. Like, how can I be close to Sarah so she can give me a kiss? That's what I really want right now. Or other ways you can receive from others too. So it's just little ways and big ways to give. Focus on that for 30 days and see how your life will be transformed and the miracles that will come into your life. It's going to be awesome.
Another thing about that, Greg, is when you live your life like that, you become a magnet. When I look at my friends, I can't outgive them. I try, it's like I'm always, because they're always giving to me. So I think it's a good indication of how much you give by looking to see how much are people giving to you. Do you know what I'm saying? Because if people feel like, oh, I don't get anything, everybody's taking, I would say, look in the mirror and see how are you living your life. Because people who are giving and generous attract generosity and giving to themselves. So I think it's a great reflection of how we're living our life.
You just reminded me of one of my greatest Sarah-isms, which is you can't outgive God. You can't outgive God. And with you just saying that, this is something I've said for years. I have like a dozen of them that I make everybody that I work with or come into my life memorize, including my younger brothers and sisters. You can't outgive God. And Cynthia, you are such a great giver. And you've developed ways for solo entrepreneurs to apply conscious capitalism in their businesses. And so I'd love to hear about that as well. Miracle Makers, we are so blessed to have Cynthia Kersey on air with us. She is the founder of Unstoppable Foundation. She's written bestseller books. She hangs out with Bob Proctor.
There you have it. That's all we need, right?
And it's so beautiful. And she's got great tips for us on this for conscious capitalism for solopreneurs and entrepreneurs. And so I'd love to hear you dive into that.
Yeah. So I think I would like to start it with a story so people can really see where this came from. So basically, in 2005, my second book, Unstoppable Women, was coming out. And as I told you before, I always was looking for how do I integrate giving into my business, into my everyday life. And I was looking for that next opportunity. And I received an invitation out of the blue to attend an African rural women conference. And it was in Kenya. And the only thing I knew about this conference is that women were coming from rural East Africa to share their stories. That's all I heard. And I felt inside that I should go. So I rearranged my schedule. I booked my flight. I fly over to Kenya. And I'm with this group now, 40 women from North America. And we get on this bus and we're driving for 2 days. And it's like, it doesn't even have shock absorbers and it's hot and I'm getting uncomfortable. And I'm thinking, God, help me get over my little self so I don't miss why I was called to do this, right? I'm getting a little cranky. And we pull into this campus and we're surrounded by 400 women. And they pull us off the bus and we're dancing and we're singing. And it was like the last 2 days completely disappeared. And I felt like I was in heaven. And for the next 5 days, I heard story after story from these women looking for solutions, not as victims, but how do we get access to clean water? How do we preserve our food? How do we get our children in education? I mean, the list was long, but the number one hope and dream was how did every child get an education? Because without it, nothing would change. And when I left, the women, again, were surrounding me and we're dancing and we're crying. And they looked at me and they said, please don't forget us. Mm. And I'm thinking, great, what could I possibly do? These issues are too big, but I made them a promise. And I went home and the first thing that came forward was a friend of mine. Did you know Debbie Ford by any chance?
I did.
Yes. And her son, Bo, for his bar mitzvah, it asked people to donate money to help build a school in Uganda. So my 50th birthday, this is 8 years ago, was coming up. And I thought, great, I'll turn my birthday party into a fundraiser. So I charged everybody a $100 donation for them to come. And then I asked them for more money that evening. And we raised $80,000 to build help to build 2 schools in Uganda. And that was another pivotal moment because people were coming up to me, Bob Proctor, Mary Morrissey, Mark Victor Hansen, Marcy Shimoff, just tons of people. And they said, thank you. This is the most exciting birthday party we've ever attended. Because it wasn't about me. It was about allowing us to do something huge for these children in Uganda. So after I did that party, I got serious. I thought, wow, if I could do that in one night, what could I do if I actually put my mind to it? And I started doing research and really got that you've got to do more than build a school to help a community lift themselves out of poverty. A school is not enough. If children don't have access to clean water, girls are fetching water and they're not in school. If you don't have access to healthcare, children are sick. Again, they can't learn. If they don't get a meal every day, they're hungry. And if you don't teach your parents how to generate an income, it cannot be self-sustaining. So I found a partner that we are implementing a model we call Sponsor a Village. And since 2008, that's right. So the Sponsor a Village brings in all 5 of those pillars to about approximately 70 children and their families for 1 year. And we have currently now, as you said, we're educating over 8,000 children a day, and over 45,000 community members now have access to all of the resources that they need to lift themselves out of poverty. So the turnkey solution, one of them is called Sponsor a Village, because what we know is people want to make a difference, but maybe they don't want to get on a plane and fly to Kenya. Maybe they don't want to start a nonprofit, which is essentially a business, right? It's like if you're running a business and starting a nonprofit, you're running two businesses. So we wanted to make it easy for entrepreneurs and people who want to make a difference, just like I did when I partnered with Habitat for Humanity to build those 100 schools. So there's a couple of ways you could do it. One is we launched a campaign or a fundraising campaign called myunstoppablechallenge.com. And it allows you to start a campaign for your birthday. And instead of having to send out invitations and rent a room, literally you create a profile on myunstoppablechallenge.com, and then you invite your friends. Listen, for this birthday, don't give me anything. Make a donation to help bring these 5 pillars to 70 children and their families. So whether you raise $1, $1,000, $5,000, $25,000, 100% of the money that you donate goes directly to our international programs because of our angel ambassadors, people who understand you got to fund, you got to provide infrastructure to be able to make a difference in a big way. So that's the easiest way that you can immediately make a difference is by starting a campaign to sponsor a village.
That's so beautiful, and it's one of the promises that I made at your wonderful
Awesome.
gala.
Great. When's your birthday?
And before we've had them, but we've had all of the birthday parties giving to something, and they were to one event or another. But this is giving to a village, or giving in such a grand way, and a dollar goes a long, long way. $10, $1,000, a long way in these. And so can you give us the link, the address to go if you want to dedicate your birthday or there was a honeymoon gifting opportunity. A couple got up at the foundation gala this year and shared how they had a giving moon. Can you share that link and maybe that story as well?
Of course. myunstoppablechallenge.com. And by the way, everything is accessible through our main site, which is unstoppablefoundation.org. But yeah, it's like, so they decided they didn't want gifts for their wedding. And so they created this thing called Giving Moon. And they've already raised, I think, $40,000 towards their no more than that, 50, maybe about $60,000. Oh, there you go. There's Beth Smith. That's a good example. So it's very simple. You put up your picture. You can give us some copy, or we make some recommendations. You make a pledge, and then it's very simple. You just send out emails, and it's all populated under your campaign. And then it goes towards bringing these 5 pillars to an entire village. So it's turnkey, and then we provide updates until that village is complete. So you could see pictures, you could actually come to Kenya with us and visit the community that you're making an impact. It's very powerful.
That's so powerful and so inspiring and so moving to have that. And if there is something happening in your life to create, finding a purpose bigger than the pain, what a gift to have a turnkey approach.
Yeah.
If you have a celebration that we're so blessed. Our daughter, we throw half birthday parties, and our daughter said, she was so cute and darling. She does this beautiful horse foundation that she's part of. And she said, I want every dollar to go to that.
It's a horse sanctuary that rescued horses.
Rescues horses,
place,
Sapphire Horse Sanctuary Foundation. And so we are in brilliant times where we are these days. The individual me has now got the power of us coming together, and the Unstoppable Foundation, I feel like I'm part of it because I love what you've created, and I know what a difference it makes in each of those villages. And one of the beautiful things that you do is you also offer a gift to anyone that wants to come in and learn. Bob Proctor, plus yourself and a few other, Michael Beckwith, Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith, offer gifts. Can you tell us a little bit about the gifts that are offered?
As part of our community, we believe that giving is a transformational experience. The most optimal giving is a transformational experience for the giver and the receiver. So part of us as an organization is we want to live into that. So we don't want to just receive gifts, but we want to be able to be a blessing beyond, of course, you're going to be blessed by giving. So we all get that. But we want to provide tools, strategies, resources that enable you to be a better giver and ultimately a better receiver. So the package that you're talking about is something I created quite a while ago called the $1 Million Idea. How to develop a $1 million idea to change your life and change the world. So this was actually in the beginning of creating my foundation. But what's timeless about it is I interviewed 10 people, actually 12 people. So Michael Beckwith and of course, Bob Proctor and Lynn Twist and Robert Kiyosaki. And the list is really long of amazing people, philanthropists, businesses who used giving. And they got as a way of reaching more people, of creating more impact. It was a part of their DNA. And so they talked about how do you develop an idea that not only will change the world, change your life, make a big business, but it will change the world as well. And there's so much great information. It's really timeless, even though I created it several years ago. I've still listened to some of the interviews and they make me cry because they're just so powerful. These are people who I respect and live this every single day. So it's something we offer as a free gift to people, just to support you in your own giving journey as well.
That is so beautiful. And that is the unstoppablefoundation.org, $1 Million Ideas. And we'll have that going out on that'll be up on our website as well. Links to that.
Yes.
Cynthia,
it's $1 Million Idea.
$1 Million Idea. And so, Cynthia, I am so grateful that you could be with us. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you for all the work that you're doing in these and creating such organization in order for our dollars to go further. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for your work and your books.
And I just want to say real quickly, it's like because I've been listening this whole time also, and you just said it right there at the end, it's a giving journey. And if you start giving today, even however big that is,
that's right.
Once you start giving, the universe goes, ooh, thank you. Here's another opportunity to give, or here's some creative ideas for giving. And it's an evolutionary journey of giving. And you just shared that so beautifully. And then you're discovering more ways to give and new ways to give. And here's more ways we can give back. And here's another way that we can help out. It's just like, it's an powerful evolutionary journey of giving. So just start today, Miracle Makers. Find a way to give that's different and just see how it comes back to you and see how there's going to be new ideas for giving and new ways to be excited about giving, which is just going to contribute to your life in such a powerful way. So thank you for sharing your journey of giving, Cynthia.
Oh gosh, well, thank you both, and I truly am inspired by both of you, and you live this. So I know, I'm sure that your listeners, we're preaching to the choir here, but as you both said, you can't outgive God. And as we learn to give, I love the scripture in Malachi that says, as you give, see if the heavens will not open up and create a floodgate, right? That is so big, you cannot even contain it. So that's what happens. It's like, how much can you receive?
Yes.
And that's all predicated by how much you give.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Woo! Beautiful. This is Dr. Sarah Larsen, and we are signing off with Miracle Makers. We want you to subscribe to us. We want your input. We want to hear about the 30-day giving challenge. We're so excited to partner with you on this.
Miracle Makers, we love you. I just want to share that I've been blessed this last hour because not only we've been sharing this amazing conversation, all these ideas, but I've been able to hold the hand of my wife for one solid hour, and my heart is just bursting with love. Thank you, my love.
You're so welcome. Our hearts are bursting with love for you. We do this for you. We want your feedback. We want to continue the conversation. So please find us, drsarahlarsen.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on social media.
iTunes. Go to iTunes. You can download the episodes there. Rate and review the podcast. We'd love your support with our podcast on iTunes.
It really makes a difference for us when you like us and subscribe to us and share with us. We're here for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The past is history, the future mystery. This moment is the gift.